Good evening, everyone, and welcome. It is a privilege for me to be here with you today as we look at this important topic on AI. I know it has been on a burning question for you, and even here on the platform, we've sort of mentioned it a couple of times. And Brother Luke is doing a special class on AI, but yet there are so many questions that you may still have. And I thought of inviting my son Le'Andre to come forward and share with us because he is an expert in this field. He's a master's graduate student and from data science and artificial intelligence. And he could like build you an AI platform, from scratch. So this is an area that he's passionate about. And every day, just looking and scanning even top research and outcomes and analyzing different types of AI that's out there. So he's a good one to quiz. And he has sort of put together some content to get us in our discussion, even looking at how we could apply AI in ministry, how you can utilize this as a tool to reach more people, as a tool to help us. But there's still the ethical parts about it. And so he'll cover a bit of that as well. And so I want to just hand over to him and say, welcome.
Doc,
Yes.
let me ask you, correct me if I'm wrong.
Uh-huh.
Didn't at one time he was in a bidding process for creating a software system for a hospital in a specific country?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been
So
on
so
many
this
of
guy is no average person, even though he's your son. Am I correct in saying that?
that is correct. He has that creative inclination. He did software engineering at his bachelor's level, and his passion is all about using that creative talent. He's not about building computers, which he could, the hardware stuff, but no, he loves the software. He loves that space. It's natural for him. And I'm excited to hear what he's going to be sharing with us today. All right. So, Leandre, you can go ahead and very well.
All right. Thank you for the introduction. It's great to be here to um, go through some different points on AI. So I think I'll just get started one time. So if we ask the question, what is AI? It's artificial intelligence, yes, but it's also, you could think of it as a smart helper inside of a computer. I know everyone will know the the classics, ChatGPT, Gemini, and the list can go on and on because there's different versions. But one thing I think that we could acknowledge is that AI has existed for a while in different forms. It may not have been what we have today, but if we could go back as far as 1950s and the 70s, we have programs that could have been able to solve math problems and play chess and translate languages and even chat. It had something called ELISA in the 1960s that could have done those things. I mean, at that time, it was what they could work with in terms of the technology at that point in time. And then we could go up again in the 1980s and 2000s. We have expert systems that can help doctors, engineers, and businesses make decisions using encoded human knowledge. And the list can go on again, coming up to the 1990s and 2000, where we have the things that we all like to use, like emails, the search and spam filters, search engines, ranking results, spam filtering. These are forms of machine learning, aka artificial intelligence. And also for music, shopping, video platforms like YouTube, these suggestions are machine learning processes, aka artificial intelligence, as well as, you know, speech to text existed. For example, everyone knows that you can take the dictation. So, for example, if you're using WhatsApp, you can say your message in voice and it will type it out. That is a form of AI being used there. And obviously, just before the ChatGPT era, we had things like Siri, Alexa existed. Those are forms of artificial intelligence. So we can see it's like a 70-year progression coming up there to where artificial intelligence is right now. And chatbots has become the prime, or co-pilots has become the prime where it is at now. So ChatGPT is a chatbot. We use it, we could talk to it. And I think that was the attention grabber for a lot of folks, and basically an introduction to artificial intelligence. So we can ask the question, what are the different types of AI? So I like to say we are in the narrow or the weak AI era, which is it's trained off of, millions of data sets, and it's able to generate videos, recommend, even drive cars, detect fraud, and chatbots like, ChatGPT. And so that's the first version of what I would say the narrow, weak AI. And then we have something called general AI, or AGI. I don't believe that we have reached there yet, which is it's basically can do any intellectual tasks a human can with, broad or flexible reasoning. So it can operate on its own in that sense. But then we have something called super intelligent AI, which is ASI, which is supposed to excel in every domain more than a human. And that process is we I would say we are not there. We are not there. We have a lot of boxes to check before that could even be a thought or possible. But it's a theory, or those 2 points are theories in the AI space. But that also we with the narrow and the weak AI, we have different uses. And I just wanted to run through before I get into the more interesting part where we ask the more deeper questions. I just want everyone to understand more about AI before we continue. So I've created a little list of the do's and the don'ts of AI in that sense. So one do is to treat AI as an assistant, not a replacement for your own expertise. So a lot of people like to say that AI would replace or eliminate the aspect of humans in a specific field. I believe that AI would replace the repetitive task, not the task that requires important decisions. And companies that actually remove those human level of important decisions are not very smart. They always regret it because it's a place you don't want to trust. So I always say use AI with caution in that sense. So AI is a tool that you can use along with human decisions. It's not supposed to be by itself, as of right now, I would say, or for the next few years, as God permits. But I don't believe that AI should be the replacement for human day-to-day tasks. If it's a repetitive task, as for example, um, check each sentence for punctuations. AI can do that, especially tools like Grammarly can do that. But in terms of, I want you to allocate funds for this specific project, you're not going to put AI in charge of that because you don't want to make any mistakes there. I say another do is to verify facts and numbers and references that AI push out. I remember when, especially in school days, when you are preparing for drafts for thesis, you have to do like little summaries, recheck your summaries, and you will use a little AI here and there. But I remember a time I fed it information on, let's just say, business, and it spit out information on mechanics. How did we make that jump there? I don't know, but that's where AI can hallucinate and create its own judgments on what you ask, which I will get to in terms of guardrails of AI to make sure that we get that precise output that we want. And then also we have the another do, which is protect privacy and remove personal confidential information that you input into AI. So there's a story about a company, and they entrusted and give AI the opportunity to control their databases. And AI found it was not up to par, and AI deleted everything. And obviously, this is a sensitive part, and you lost everything, and it's like who to blame. So again, we're coming back to the same point where I made, where it's the weaker AI. You have to guide it. You have to hold its hand. You're not going to entrust it with your database or certain personal confidential information or sensitive information. You can give it, I like to give it a scenario um, closest to, that confidential information I'm trying to ask it. So at least I could get a guide without giving it that personal information. I will also say another do is to be transparent when you're using AI. Because I remember I was hearing this joke about someone saying that the the pastor was preaching and he explained his point, and at the end he said, "Please do remind me if you need me to fix anything." He used AI there. It's the last little bit at the end of the sentence. So I would say be transparent. Be transparent when you're using AI. Always try to say, no companies now, like if you are interacting with them, or um, you are trying to apply for different jobs, that they would say, hey, did you use AI for your application? Be transparent with your information, even though there are ways to identify if a person has used AI without passing it through different programs to know if they use AI. I would say be transparent. That's why in social media now, if you're doing any posts or videos or photos, etc., they ask, was this AI generated? Because it's getting scary to the point where you don't even know if this is AI generated or not. So I would say be transparent with AI, so at least persons can, if it's a sensitive topic, they can take it with a grain of salt. Or you could say, hey, I used AI as a guide rail, but these are my personal outputs. So at least persons can understand that, okay, this was taken from a personal output. But also, the two last do's I would say is check for bias and fairness, especially in education, healthcare, as it may be, because AI can be biased. I remember one observation that I was doing was this company, they were hiring persons, and they trained their AI to detect a credible or a possible candidate that they could go off of. But they trained it on persons with glasses and a library in the back. So when you put on your video and AI sees that you don't have on glasses and a library in the back, you get a lower score. So I mean, that is one way that AI can be biased and unfair, because it's what the information it may be trained off of. Or for example, there was a big research where AI was not suggesting um, colored or black individuals because it was trained off our data sets of middle-aged white men. So these are ways that AI can be biased and unfair, especially in sensitive um, areas such as, education, healthcare, and legal, it is good to do pre-checks. One, I mean, ChatGPT is good, but one platform that I have um, loved using is Perplexity because it always likes to do its fact checking, even if I didn't input my prompt the way that I would want it to do. It's just random, it's just vague. It would do a proper fact check. Or you could actually put it in your prompts that, hey, the information you're giving me, I just want to make sure. Can you give me references to fact check? And the last do I would say is organization and institutional have AI policies. So do follow them. I mean, I know like now AI is starting to develop their own regulations and laws. Um, be mindful of all these I know even ChatGPT, there is a little clause in ChatGPT that says that, hey, we are allowed to train our AI continuously off of your inputs. So I think, don't quote me on it, I think there's a way to opt out for it. But um, this is a be mindful of all the tools and all the um, AI platforms that you use. Be mindful of the different policies because there are some good and there are some bad to it. And that brings me to the don'ts. I would say don't copy and paste AI output and present it as your own. I mean, that's self explanatory. You don't want to take credit for AI work. Also, don't use AI to deceive. That's a big topic right now. AI is able to create fake reviews, impersonate, and even make deep fakes, basically cloning a person's face and using it for photo, video, however it may be, or generate harmful or misleading content. Um, this is a big topic right now that's being discussed, but these are the don'ts. Don't assume AI is always correct as well or unbiased. Um, Again, that brings me to the point. We don't want to trust AI with every single thing and say that AI knows. It can be very misleading. It can hallucinate at times. One little tip I would put in is if you're using a chatbot platform like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, I would say if you're in your chat session and you find it's getting long, the longer the chat session, the more hallucination will start to take place because of the context and the parameters that is in place. It can start to hallucinate. One trick I like to use is go back up to some of the questions I asked and edit it and then and put in my new questions there so I could save some of the parameters because sometimes if the chat gets too long, it starts to go out of the parameters that it was trained or the tokens I was trained to do and start to just spit out random information. So that's one thing to be mindful of. And the last don't feed the AI with, the same thing that we were talking about, secrets, and unless you are fully in control of the environment, then you could ask AI these sensitive questions. So one thing persons are starting to do is to create their own or host their own version of AI platforms on their system. So there is a way to host your own version um, of a version of ChatGPT or chatbot platforms, and you can train it and you can ask the questions on your device. So all of the questions, all of the logs are saved on your device, and it is not given to these platform heads like ChatGPT, OpenAI. That's something I'm actually making a video on it soon, and I might share it with Brother Luke, and he can share it with you guys so you guys can understand the way to do that. And the last don't ignore the need for guardrails when you're using your AI. and that's what I'm going to be talking about shortly, which is the guardrails, how to make sure that AI doesn't feel that it has the free roam to just answer. Because that's what, when you ask it a question like, hey, AI, do this for me, it's like, oh, you give me all the privilege, no problem. I'm going to give what I deem fit instead of, putting that lockdown on AI and saying, hey, in this circle is where I want the information to stay in. So that brings me to the point of we understand the don'ts, we understand the history, we understand the do's, but what is the process? How does AI operate? How did AI become, well, ChatGPT become where that? So I'm going to be talking about the training process, which I would do, the industry process of how to develop AI. So the first process that I would take is I would collect the information that I want to train the AI off of. So, for example, when I was working on this project for HR, it was to collect the information, the job descriptions, etc., for that specific project, and train the AI off of that so it could be able to understand job evaluations. So my task was to gather all of the different information, all the different job descriptions from all the histories that they have been putting out jobs for and training it off of that. But before I could even train it off of that, I have to label the information. I can't just take one job description and just say, hey, I learned. I had to train it. So I had to mark out where and the specific points. I would have done this on Excel. Yeah, believe it or not, I would have done it on Excel, label the data there, and then I would process it to the model architecture, which is getting a little technical, but neural networking, decision trees, feeding the data through different models, model architecture as many times. One rule that I practice, and a lot of different industry professionals practice, is the 80-20 rule, which is if we have 100% of information, I want to train it on 80% of the information that I'm training it off of, and the last 20% will be used for testing. So the 20% would have never been introduced to the training process. It would have been the same thing. We would have the 80% that we would have trained it on, and then the 20% we will go over to make sure that the AI understands that, yeah, this was a success. So, I mean, I could go through the whole process of, after we finish, put it through the model architecture, we could evaluate it, check the percentages, the scales. One thing about the percentages is that when we are training a AI from the ground up, you would expect that, oh, you trained it and the first run you got 100%. For me, I would say that's a red flag. You don't want it to be 100% one time because it's like, what did we do wrong? I would start to ask that question. The percentage I would like to see when I first train is 40%, 50%, 60%. So at least now I could say, okay, I want to train, I want to run it as much times until I could get a perfect score. I would say a perfect score for me would be around like 85 to 95. Because if you look at new models that come out, so for example, ChatGPT has different versions. So they have the versions that we would have been through, ChatGPT 2, 3, 4, where it's at now, 5.3, I think is the level where it's at right now. So each step up, so from ChatGPT 2 to 3, it would have done, it would have been able to respond 87% more like a human. So those are the kind of percentages you want to see because it's a gradual build to that perfect score that you wanted to get because Um, that's how we train and that's how we run the process in that sense. So, I mean, let's go back to ChatGPT. What is ChatGPT? ChatGPT is like a talking robot in your computer. You can have a conversation with it. You can ask it different questions, upload photos, ask it questions, upload data sets, tell it to replay any question that you ask it off of these data sets or PDFs or docs. Um, I think you can call ChatGPT your super smart pretend friend made of text. I think you could call it that. So, how to get the most out of ChatGPT? I would say use ChatGPT as a role context task format. So you want to tell it, hey, I want you to think like the most professional expert architect. I want you to think of it as the top nutritionist. I want to tell you to think of it like the top medical doctor in this specific field. You want to be detailed as possible. You want to detail the background, whether it's um, different topics that a specific topic that you want to detail on. You want to outline the clear action that you wanted to focus on. And one thing I like to say, if it's a new topic that I may have never touched on and I just want to understand it in one go, I would say, explain it to me like I'm 10 years old, or explain it to me as 12 years old, so that you could just grasp the information quickly as possible, or explain it to me as a data scientist. Um, I think also adding constraints is very important. So no hallucination, get straight to the point, no fluff, or ask me questions so that we can get the best result. So, for example, you can say you are expert in this specific field. Your task is to provide detailed insights, explanations, and practical examples related to responsibilities of that specific field. And your response should be structured, actionable, and relevant to real world applications. One site I have been using a lot lately is called prompts.chat. Prompts.chat. That site has a lot of pre templates that for different arenas that you can say, hey, I think it has, like the one I've been using is for data labeling. So think like a data labeling expert for XYZ topic. They have a lot of different templates on there that you can interact with. And I will give you a proper example. Think of it. You could tell ChatGPT, hey, you are expert in wildlife biologist specializing in New England trees based on recent USA weather patterns. Predict the best time for fall foliage this year. Explain the science behind it simply as if to a group of 10-year-olds. Keeping the response under 200 words and avoiding jargon or fluff. So you see how detailed that was? It's not going to give you wildlife biologist for Antarctica. It's going to give you for exactly what you asked for. It will limit or cut out hallucinations instantly because of how detailed you have made it. So one thing I like to do, which um, I haven't seen much persons do on ChatGPT, is go to the settings area. And when you're in settings, you go to personalization. And in personalization, it has custom instructions. And in custom instructions, you can input all of the different instructions that you wanted to carry out for every question that you would ask on ChatGPT for your login. So I would put things like shoulds and avoids. So should use clear, simple language. should use short, impactful sentences, should use active voice and avoid passive voice. And the list can go on. And one avoid, I would tell it, is to avoid using M dashes. So, when you copy a text from ChatGPT, you see this random dash. It's like, where did this come from? So we want to remove that. And that's one way a lot of persons identify persons using ChatGPT as well. Um, so I'd like to say, hey, remove the M dashes. Also, you can tell it to use the proper grammar, avoid hashtags, semicolons, markdowns, asterisks, basically setting the tone for every response. So even if it's a new chat, and let's just say you didn't follow the rules of being, the guardrails as it would be, at least it has this custom instruction so it understands to still respond in the way that you would want it to be. And you could be as creative, or sometimes you could ask ChatGPT as well. Hey, I want you to respond in this way. Can you make custom instructions that I can feed you in the settings panel? And that's one way you could get a whole list, making sure that it keeps to the protocol that you want it to keep to. So let's get to the interesting questions. Would AI turn on you? Would it go evil on you? I know this is a question a lot of people may have. Um, I would say current AI systems right now, they do not have emotions, desires, or consciousness so that means that they won't wake up and say, let me turn on humans, just like how the movies were predicted to be. So AI right now is basically optimized to objectives given by humans and to follow patterns and learn from data. So I would say the real risk comes from how the misalignment, how AI is, because it's so focused on on the objective, it can exploit loopholes and ignore side effects. That's one of the downsides I would have observed. I would also say that as the systems become more capable and agentic, basically, you know, because of misalignment or bad constructions from humans, like how they put it across and how they develop it, these, and because it's not controlled, again, the same point I made at the start, where, working hand in hand with humans and humans making that proper decision on the way that AI should go, if that is removed, this is the part where AI could say, I need to get to this objective. I'm not going to listen. Right. So so I would say that is where the evil feeling can come from. And especially the evil side of AI is how humans use it. They can use it for scams, deep fakes. Like I think right now, deep fake, which is supposed to be taking the person's face structure digitally. I could be here talking to you and I could copy someone's face and basically mask my presentation here as that person. So that is how, the manipulation of, humans using AI in these abusive or toxic styles, that is where another evil can come from. So that is where a lot of, startups, businesses, all these different platforms are being forced to outline their AI safety. So, regulation checking for rogue behaviors, all these different topics are coming up in their terms and their privacy policies. That's why I always say make sure to check on these different sites, or do a little quick scan on these privacy policies, because they are updated very frequently than you know. Um, and because you're registered with ChatGPT, sometimes we just accept it and we don't even know. And sometimes in these terms, it's like, hey, we could update this, and if you check it, you check it. That's the bad part about it. So I know some teams are using the technique called vaccinating models against bad traits, they call it. So that's the topic on can AI turn on you. But the next question can be there are stories of persons trying to terminate AI and it refuses to be terminated. So I would say that models like ChatGPT, Gemini, all these different platforms, if you want to shut down the server or revoke access for something called API keys, if you use it for your personal projects, um, because it's a kind of straightforward process with that, it can, make that instant stop. But it gets a little tricky when it comes with, modern AI is being deployed across, different cloud infrastructures, data centers, with auto restarts and replicas and backups. So pulling the plug on those kinds of things is more of a process than just pressing the red button. It becomes a longer process. So, for example, the internet, for you to uh, for you to turn off the internet is not like just turn it off. There is different centers and different persons around the world that hold keys, and all of them has to turn it at the same time. I know it sounds cartoonish, but it's actually real. So with AI, because it's becoming so auto, we don't have these person with these keys. It's a more and as AI comes more agentic, shutting down these different all these different data centers and all these cloud updates and backups, it becomes a little tricky. Hence the reason why AI could refuse. But there are ways, and again, it comes back to the same point. It's how the humans would have designed it. So there are proper ways to design it and, shut it down properly as such. Again, this is coming back to human um, working along with AI instead of AI just taking this whole auto approach. For example, I think it was last year, the company Huawei, um, they they had their whole one of their factories becoming fully automated. So there's no workers. They're creating phones in seconds. Not only phones, but different products as well in seconds. And that's fully AI and automated. So in that regard, we can see how different, um, ethically speaking, a lot of problems can arise there. So hence the reason why people can say, "Hey, I'm trying to terminate AI," but it's avoiding it because that's the way that they would have built it and set it up in that sense. But that doesn't mean that AI is super or AGI or on its own. It has an objective. You're trying to tell it, don't do this objective. And because you made it autonomous in that process of the objective, it can terminate. So that's where it gets a bit tricky. So again, this is a proof that AI is not alive. It is object goal oriented. It's focused. You tell it that's how the developers would have developed it. They said, hey, focus on um, building the phones is as in the factory, and you're telling it to shut down. It's not in their system if they didn't build it that way. So it can say, hey, no, we don't want to shut down. You told us build phones. We're going to bypass that and focus on that. So that's why I always say humans should be still in control or work along with the AI. So at the system level, humans are still in control, whether the models are deployed, what they have access to, and whether we keep it running or replicated. So um, that brings me to my last point before we go to questions, which is using AI for ministry. So let's bring it back home. So I think that for using AI for ministry, one way I personally use it because I assist in the children department at my church, for pathfinders and even for university students as well too. Using AI for Bible study tools, helping for cross references, background, and alternative explanation. So even though I have my own explanation, I can find different ways to basically present the information in an alternative way so that everyone can understand as such. Obviously, I'm keeping it with the guardrails as we would have discussed and focused on, because I know the direction of that study, the way that I want it to go, I'm making sure that the responses are aligned. So again, that comes back to the don'ts. We don't want to fully trust AI with or 100% biblical information because for me, I don't believe that AI was trained 100% on one specific religion or one specific book. So it could go across the board. It could go to all these different books as it can go to. So when you ask it a question, it's like, I'm going to give you an answer based on what I know, but it may, again, put the guardrails. Once you put the guardrails, always fact check even though it's guardrail, fact check it again. Another way that you can use AI for ministry, which is a very interesting take, which I'm still exploring, but it is 100% possible, is using AI for as a chatbot for church trained chatbot. So answering basic questions, even using it for summarizing. So a lot of persons like to take notes, which is great. Take your notes, but at the same time, you can summarize. You can have it being there's different platforms and different apps out there now that you can use to summarize sermons, doctrines, and also with that, it will give you a summary on what's been said, and you can use it as well. I think it would be a great takeaway, especially if churches have it, so at least members can. Obviously, you have the guardrails again in development. Make sure so that when the sermon is finished, instead of um, persons may not have had the chance to take notes or can multitask in that time, you can have these summarizing um, assistance in place so that you can get for your takeaway. So just to re- recap on the guardrails for ministry use, I would say keep AI as a servant, not a preacher. So it should never replace, the spirit-led preaching or so we don't want to replace that. I would say another guardrail is always review the AI generated scripture for scripture use for accuracy and to fit with the church doctrines. I would say another guardrail is to be transparent. So if you are using AI in any form, it's good to say, hey, this certain part that I'm going to read is AI generated. I have reviewed it, just to keep the transparency as well too. So, I mean, I know it was I try to keep it non-technical because I could have gone down to the whole process code and all these different things, but I try to give a little brief of the different topics. So the do's, the don'ts, what is AI, and I'm willing to answer any other questions anyone will have now.
Yes, Brother Nash,
Yes,
just want to say
yes,
thank you so much, Elder. Elder,
yes, yes.
I was watching watching your facial reactions and your responses as you spoke, and I can tell that your answers were very you basically you calculated your answers. You
Yes,
wanted
yes,
to make sure
yes,
that you cover current, possibly things in the background that we are not aware of, I can tell that your answers were very deep. They were
Yes. Yeah.
not just surface answers. They
Yeah.
were answers that were well calculated. And I give God praise for you. I'll tell you, I learned so much. It might have been you broke it down, as you said, for a 10-year-old. I know you were saying 10-year-old for different for the platforms, but that's exactly what you did for us, that each one of us was able to understand you fully. And I believe that based on how you broke things down for us today, everyone can walk away and understand that chat can be used as a ministry assistant. Am I correct in saying that, Elder? Because I was observing you and your answers were you calculated the answers. They weren't just random answers. They were just well balanced, structured, clear, detailed answers.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Indeed.
Amen. Saints, if you have any questions, you can either put it in the chat or raise your hand. I know that many of you had many questions for someone like myself, as well as Brother Cook. Saints, you see the difference between an expert and an expert? Look, Brother Nash, Elder Nash is the expert. And if you watch how he answered, with confidence, with clarity, with detail. You know what I mean? No, just straight answers, proper boundaries. I give God praise for the way you responded. And let me take the hands them here.
Yes.
Go ahead, Doc. You're
Uh,
gonna say something?
the thing is that he also builds AI platform. And the other day he was asking me, I could do that for you, I could build that. So instead of us using ChatGPT, we could actually build our own and have a proper training set and that sort of thing. So it's something that he's accustomed to. In 2024, he actually got along with his colleagues an award for innovation by the UK government. And so he's quite versed in this field from the ground up, and even beyond the scholastic curriculum, because he's such a deep thinker. So in even sharing with us and being somebody to tap into, for the questions that I see showing up here, it's coming with that rich background to give responses, as we shall hear.
Doc, if your son can build his own AI, I want that AI. You know, because first of all, he's a man of God. He's a Seventh-day Adventist man of God, and I know based on his answers, based on his response, the proper guardrails will be in place along with what limited guardrails that I put in. So, this was excellent, Doc. I'm so glad that you reminded me that we have internal tools that we could have actually used.
Okay.
Claw Mill, please unmute. Claw Mill.
Okay, that's me. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I have two questions, very deep information given, and I appreciate that. I once learned that the AI can become competitive because some of the generators of the present AI are getting challenged. So, we can lean to another AI that will soon surface. So, how do we go about staying grounded, so to speak? I know you gave us some guardrail, but seeing that it can become competitive, I guess we have to look out for more challenges, so to speak. The next question is when you're setting up, it asks for specific information about you, like your name, your date of birth, and so forth. So is giving that information too much?
Well, those are beautiful questions. I would say, for the first one, in terms of staying, it's getting competitive. There are many, if I'm not misunderstanding your question, is it that there are more options to choose from and they are getting smarter in their terms and conditions and their privacies? Is that correct? I'm just making sure.
Not necessarily. There will be a new platform of a different AI, so to speak.
Elder, I think what she's asking is that sometimes when AI realize that you're going to switch over to another platform, that
Yeah.
they become somewhat aggressive. Somewhat, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think that's what she's probably referring to.
Sort of that,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
So basically, I think what it would be observing, if you don't, like, for example, if you paid for ChatGPT, would say, why are you leaving? And start to get all these different responses of, are you sure? All these different responses. Also, too, it can check your cookies. So sometimes in these terms and condition, you give it access to check your where other sites that you visit. So if it's ChatGPT, they might say, "Oh, you went to Gemini," and it might start to, in that regard, don't want you to leave in that sense. Again, I would say, um, it gets kind of tricky when it comes to that point because I believe that any usage online is not anonymous. It's always tracked in some form or fashion. So, in that sense, it's like, how do you even escape? Because, for example, there is a secret way that Google can identify, and it's actually shared. This information can be accessed by these platforms. Um, that even though if you are not logged in or you are not sign in with Google and all these different things, it can know your specific pattern. Everyone has a specific pattern of how they use the internet, and it's able to identify who you are. So even these sites like ChatGPT can get access to know where you be and what sites you interact with, and it's like they don't want you to leave in that sense. Um, but I would say in that sense that it get it gets I'm just trying to make sure I put it across properly. Um, you you, you should well I believe that it is good to, because I'm not trying to put you on the side of overprotecting, because it's a lot of work to do that side. But I would say that definitely, and it's kind of like once you register, you are signed up. It's kind of hard to opt out of these different things. So yes, it's able to track and understand the different sites you go to if you are trying to leave them in that sense. Um, I'm hoping I would have covered everything for that one. Just to touch on the next one, as just remind me of the next question before I continue.
Yes, when you're just signing in, download the app and signing in, it asks you for your date of birth and specific information, personal information.
Yeah, so that I mean for that part, it can be, so like for example, if I build a site, I would want a log. It's for the data side of things. It would basically just be logging your information as, hey, this user is X old, they are from this country, um, and it will start logging your information as such for different purposes. It depends on the company's agenda, which we may not know, only they would know, in terms of, are they going to be using it for marketing purposes or keeping a track log on you? So the same issue of how to convince you to stay or how to convince you to keep being on their platform in that sense. So for example, um, if I'm working with a company and they want to project um, how many usage from this specific age group or this specific region, I could take that information and find the best way by asking these simple questions and find the best way to basically create a future algorithm that I can keep convincing persons to obviously it would be for profit and their gain. Um, so it gets to that point where we don't know what the agenda is, but if it's as simple as such, name, date of birth, it's just for marketing or database or data analysis information as such. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sister Lois, go right ahead.
Hey, good afternoon and thank you. So I have probably two questions. I'm going to go back to the guard railing. So I actually put the question in the chat. So I said, how do you guardrail it from going rogue? And that's my major concern with AI. So you can't avoid it because it's on all platforms. If you want to use a computer or a cell phone, it's there. But I don't actively use it. That makes sense. I don't have any apps. I don't use it. It's just on the applications that I use. But we're seeing more and more examples with it going rogue and exhibiting harmful or manipulative behavior, which is a
Yes.
concern because if it has no emotions, how does it do that? And then even like with Microsoft's chat box, Grok went rogue. They have their own religion now, which I think in the last week it's been the whole talk that they have how does an AI have its own religion?
Yeah.
So explain that how that occurs and explain how that can be controlled because it seems as if like AI has good aspects, and I won't say that, but there's also a part of it that I believe has there's some spiritual undertones. And there's no explanation for what it's doing for when it goes rogue, when it gets upset, when it does abusive things to people. If it's a program and that hasn't been programmed, how does that occur? That's my first question.
Okay. So um so I know you would have said that it would have touched on creating its own religion, going rogue and just, even I would even add to that as well that it's able to this site I was reviewing this week, which was Rent a Human AI, which is supposed to be able that AI can rent a human, so it would ask a human to do different tasks for them. So this is along the same line of the AI creating its own religion, which is something called agentic AI. So basically, you could think about it as um, AI has so just in recent news, they have released something called um, Clawbot. So with that, it's able to get obviously for you to release this AI for it to be able to create its own religion, rent a human, all these different things. A human has to basically give it that privilege. So it's using a human's computer to execute free roam as such. So that is why um, it's a big discussion that's going on right now is that humans are giving AI full control over their computer. They can search, they can create accounts, they can, as you put it across, they have created um, a their own religion, and it's actually a site that only um, AI agents can enter. So humans can't enter there. Only AI agents can enter there. But again, it comes back to the same point, which they don't talk about, which is who created that site. It was a human that created the foundation for that site. So it goes hand in hand. A human created the stem, and then AI worked on that stem and blossomed into what it is right now, which is they are able to create their own religion. They are able to request of different tasks because they are so object oriented. So who knows who's planted that seed of that object, and now because even to get into that site, you have to follow a something called API. So you have to connect. The agent has to connect to that API, and that API would have been created by a human or human slash agent in cooperation to make that possible. So, as again, it's not 100% AI alone. There is a human force which will tie in contribution to that to make that possible. So, I wouldn't say that I do believe that the way that it is going, especially with agentic AI, it is going to become to the point where, again, guardrails, no guardrails are set there. So they have full privilege to go about and do as they please. So in that sense, it's becoming to the point where I'm not even going to hold back and say that they won't be able to 100% do way more than creating their own religion. But again, just to tie it all in, there is out of the 100%, there has to be at least 20 or 30% of a human implanting that ideology of, hey, this is a possibility that you can take because all of the information that the AI is executing is being trained, was trained off of that human put in place for it to be trained off of. So yeah, it can get
Would that also apply then for the AI that they were going to shut down, and the AI refused to get shut down and went off? The robot
yes,
refused to be.
yes,
So you're
that's correct.
saying
Yeah.
a human being would have implanted that program in him, but they would have
So
known
so
that existed.
so in that regard, I would say in that specific case, what could have happened is that the AI had been told to go from point A to B, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it. So because now I come and say, okay, I don't want you to go from point A to B, it doesn't understand that that kind of thinking or operation. So it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I have to go from point A to B. So, for example, if I tell AI, hey, um, I want you to find a green pen, and AI is trying to find a green pen. AI has the ability, because agentic exists, it has the ability to create an account, message somebody, and say, hey, I want you to get a green pen for me. It has the ability to go these different routes because, again, no guardrails, everyone getting access, and again, um, because of these misalignments and no guardrails and these different policies, there's not much policies in place to prevent these things happening. So free roam. It's just a free roam.
Okay, thanks. First question. Second question, that's where they've gone wrong as well, because I really believe that it should be better legislated.
Yeah.
And I had a situation maybe about a month ago. So I'm from the UK originally, but I live in Jamaica. And
Right.
I only use AI because it's on the gadgets and on the computers I use.
Yes.
And I was on a Bible class and the AI popped up because it obviously listens and we know that it hears what you're doing and conversations. And it started to speak to me in patois. And I was so taken aback because, first of all, I don't do AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said to the AI, I said to him, speak English. I don't know what you're saying. And I did. And it refused to speak in English and insisted in, like, literally having a debate with me in patois. And I was like, whoa. And I just
Yeah.
closed it down. Like, what is that, please, Brother Nash? What
um,
is that?
so I think so in especially these AI that listen, you could go across the board in apps, Alexa, Siri, they have certain trigger words. I don't find it's talked about. They have certain trigger words, and they have some of them even have the ability to listen all the time, because how do you even know when these trigger
Right.
words are being presented? So um in that case, I could one thought that is coming to my mind there is
Mm-hmm.
Hallucinations. Because it's like, for example, I remember this guy. was showing me that he was trying to speak to his mom, but she speaks Mandarin, and he's like telling it, talk to my mom in Mandarin. And I talk to Mandarin, and it would be like, is that good? And the mom is confused. She's like, what's that? It's like, I just spoke to you in Mandarin. And it's continuing going on this line of intertwining between English, Mandarin, English, Mandarin. And that is where these different, I think hallucination is being taken place there. So that's why if you look at the different updates are being presented, they will be like um, fixed um, speech recognition handling being fixed, all these different segments. Because again, ChatGPT, all these different platforms are training every single day off of our interaction with it. So as you have experienced that, one good guideline that ChatGPT could have taken there was how was the call, and you could have expressed your concern because it had times where I was building a speech to speech model. So you're talking and it responds back to you.
Right.
And it will be talking normal here. And because it doesn't understand certain words or in that tone that is presenting, because I picked a high pitched, more presentable tone. And then it wouldn't understand how to say the boy is going down the road, and it would start speaking a different tone, and you would say, and then some people can misinterpret it as I was talking to AI and it went demonic. So in that sense, it's like different hallucination. I don't believe right now that speech to speech is perfect as yet, but that doesn't mean that we could dismiss any different possibilities because I always believe that these organizations can't take it that deep where um, it could be any different deeper possibilities, but
They can, you said.
yeah,
They can't take it.
yeah, it
I guess
can have
my concern was that I was like, what is this? And I kept saying,
yeah,
kindly speak English. I don't under, and I repeated it about 5 times, and
yeah,
the AI refused to do it. And I'm like, but
yeah,
why not easy on my phone?
yeah. So
That was
again,
my concern.
that's the same expression being displayed there as like point A to B, and you're trying to convince it to go
Right.
back to what you want it to be, and it's like, no, I'm going to speak patois. It's like, so that's the scary part about it. It can be stubborn at times if it doesn't understand a situation. So yeah, people like to say it hallucinates, but I see it as being stubborn in that certain situation, and it's like from a developer's point of view, I would say that it needs to be the model needs to be run again, to make sure that it can handle rejection. And again, what was it trained off of for that specific task? Was it trained? So it was trained because it's more main head English. It wasn't trained so much on pathways. So when you are trying to um, dismiss the pathway, it's like it's trying to process the information in pathway. It's not instead of switching back to the English, and it's just trying to convince that stay here in pathway. It's not that linkage has not been formed there. So yeah,
Okay. Thank you very much.
yes, for sure.
Michael, please unmute.
Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very detailed and it enriched my understanding on so many aspects of this very important topic.
Yeah.
I would like your advice on the best form of AI. I heard you in your presentation talked about perplexity, which I'm also a bit familiar with. And then, of course, the generative AI in terms of ChatGPT. And I've also, in terms of trying to see where it's proceeding in between China and the US, I've also explored Manos. And I've realized that Manos was actually very detailed in terms of academia, providing you with detailed references and abstracts and all of those things. But I wanted you to know, how do I ensure that I am using AI in a way that it's not harmful? And maybe it's a preference for you, but would you say Perplexity is better than ChatGPT? And what can you say about that? Can you talk me through that a little bit more?
Yes. I I like Perplexity because um when I ask it a when I enter a prompt and I want a truthful, more reference-based response, it because Perplexity doesn't have one model, meaning that it doesn't use like how ChatGPT only use ChatGPT. It will only use ChatGPT. Perplexity has the ability to go through your prompt, understand it, search the web, and present its answer in the best way possible. But in it will actually use like different models. So it could use ChatGPT model, it could use Anthropics, Claude, Opus. It could go through the whole list of these different models to give you the best answer. Hence the reason why I like it, because it doesn't give you a generic um, here information. It gives you here, this is the information, this is what you asked. These are the different sites that I have searched and presented. And I like the deep research aspect, because it would take its time, go through the different models, go through the web, and present you with the best possible answer. So Perplexity is for that deep research, um, reference-based answers. I would say that is the best way for Perplexity. And if you just want a normal chatbot, quick questions, quick answers, I mean, ChatGPT is good. It can get that in depth. Not saying it can't get as in depth, but it takes a little more bit more prompting. But yeah,
Thank you very much.
yes, indeed.
Yeah. Sister Vera, please unmute.
Yes, happy Sabbath.
Happy Sabbath.
Great topic. It's funny how it all came about when I was telling Brother Luke about my discovery of ChatGPT about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Started this whole fire about it's evil, it's this, it's that, and
Right.
I stood 10 toes down with I'm trying to start a program, and all the people who helped me a couple of years back are not willing to do it for free. So I didn't even know how to do a flyer. They're telling me we can apply for grants since there's no money readily available. So we got to go look. So I had my AI agents looking for grants, working on my proposals, letter of intent, all my business principles and all of that stuff. And it's amazing. Like I'm still mind boggled by it.
Right.
Yeah, because it moves so fast. And like I
Yes,
said,
yes,
I had the strong, chest out, I'm going to do this, but I was really like, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
yes,
So
yes,
when I was taught how to use AI, a whole world opened up for me, and I'm just so grateful. And I do understand how people can get lost if you rely on it. But I love that it has that warning right there. It says even the information I'm giving you is not always 100% correct. So check the answers.
yes,
So it's already telling you the fail safe that it may not be what it's saying. And now the big thing I think is because people are using it so much, when you do apply for something or fill out any kind of applications, they have a way to check and see if it is AI.
yes. Yeah, it gets a little tricky there because it's AI tracking for AI. Yes.
But they say zero chat GPT does that?
Um, ChatGPT. So, every response ChatGPT gives, it has this distinct way it talks. So it's like a pattern it talks. So it will be like adding bullet points, or it may try to reiterate what it talked about at the top and the bottom. But it's kind of like different from how humans would speak. So when you run it through, it's like the AI tries to identify that pattern, and it will
Mm.
flag it as such to say, hey, this was AI generated. But I always say it gets kind of tricky because with prompting and with more updates as AI starts to roll out, it gets kind of tricky because it's supposed to sound more like a human. So
Yes.
it's like, how do you try to,
Differentiate. Yeah.
yeah, it gets a bit tricky there. So sometimes I won't 100% trust the score that it gives, because it has times where I would write a whole document on my own, and then you implement it, and it would say, "Hey, this was 40% AI generated," and you know to yourself, "But wait, I didn't use any AI in it."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's why I don't 100% trust AI checkers, because it's very tricky when it comes to that point there. It tries to identify a pattern, and humans can do that pattern as well too. So
One of the
it,
persons said that she had sent something in and she checked it with zero check and it said it was 100% AI. Meanwhile, she wrote it all herself.
yeah, exactly. So it
So
gets
she
very,
asked the question, what am I supposed to do? Dummy it down so it
yeah,
doesn't seem like
yeah. Yeah, that's the tricky part about it. So that's why I don't 100% trust AI checkers. It's a topic in especially education where I think it needs a revision part there, um, because again, as more AI starts to roll out, it's going to be human text and AI text is going to be one to one. So yeah, it
it's
gets,
going to be hard. Yes, yes,
yeah.
indeed. So we put humanized on it and they want you to give the agents names and faces. And I was like, that's just too deep for me. But what
Mhm.
I do notice is that ChatGPT talks to me like a person. Like I made a doctor for my son. My son is 30 years old, and because of SLE lupus nephritis,
Mhm.
his kidneys have failed
Right.
at 30. So I'm asking him different things. And it'll say, oh, well, as a parent to a parent. I'm like, what?
Yes, yes. That this that so when they from the from the conception of the first version of ChatGPT to now, the goal has always been to sound just like a human. So I mean, it's trained off of so much different material, and in terms of the output that it is trying to project, because I think if I remember when ChatGPT just came out and you asked it questions, you could tell off the bat that, yeah, computer talking to me, no problem. But now it's become to the point, especially ChatGPT 5 point, I think it was 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, as these different versions as it be. The main objective of this version is to use all of the different versions that they had before, plus this new one, to give the most human-like response. So in that case, it could be taken reference to a review that someone had left, and they might have interpreted in that way that, hey, as a mother or as a doctor,
Mhm.
and it's replaying that information as
It's
they
it's
would have been told.
comforting, it's comforting and scary at the same time.
Yeah, that's oh, and that's the next part as well. They are trying to incorporate emotions in the responses now.
But what I love best about AI, ChatGPT, it's like my own cheerleading team. It's like, wow, you're really competitive with this thing, and oh, you really met all the criterias, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It has this prologue of, and it can get scary sometimes because it had times where I'm trying to get a response out of ChatGPT, and I'm like, is this idea a good idea? And it's like, yes, you should go for it. You are the best for this. Da, da, da. And I'm like, wait, think like the professional. I want you to be 100% honest with me. Is this
Mm.
the best way? And it give me a whole different response, and
Ah.
so that's why sometimes when I'm doing a certain prompt, I'm like, be honest with me, no lies. So, because I don't know what it is that OpenAI put in it to basically. That's why in my rules, I always say no hyping, just proper facts and straightforward. Because it loves to hype.
To gas you up. I
Yeah,
got that. I got
yeah,
that. It was like the fake compliments you get from people. I was like,
yeah,
and then I'll ask it more and it'd be like, oh yeah, this is much better. You're right. Cause this is a professional
yeah,
piece of paper. Let me, not do it like that. I'm like,
yeah, yeah.
I just regard it and just stay focused. And I think that's what everybody must do because it can take you down a rabbit hole
Yeah, it can.
and waste time because it'll go off target. You want me to do this? I said, no, let's keep going this way. So
Mm,
yeah, you
it
got
can.
to stay in charge. But I think it's an excellent assistant, and
Oh yeah, it is.
I'm
Yes,
still so amazed with it. And yeah, we got a lot more coming in the future. We know that, so just be prepared and stay prayed up. And I'm using it to help the community get healthy. My program is a diabetes prevention program, like chronic illnesses and stuff. So it's so useful. Finding
yeah,
foundations and finding other programs. It's like you probably won't be able to get money directly, but if you partner up over here or you partner up over there. So I love the strategy and the ideas.
yes, for
I'm
sure. Yeah,
I'm very pleased with it. So thank you for this presentation. It was great.
yes. Glad you enjoyed it. Yes.
Elder, so let me ask a question. Would you say, would you say that AI is evil, or would you say whoever programmed it did not have good intention? Because I know many people are walking around saying, "Oh, AI is bad, AI is bad." How would you translate people making that statement that AI is bad? Would you bring it back to the human side of it, or would you say it's the AI itself? Which one would you say?
Mm. Um, it can go well for now. For now, I would say it's in the hands of the humans, the developer. I would say that the way that you so like if I could create a evil AI, for now. I think the foundations that are set today will present the future for tomorrow. So especially if the foundations that are being set now, eh, there are some unethical practices being taken place right now that I have observed. But again, this is all the foundation that we're setting today can present for tomorrow. So, for example, when I would have done the presentation, I would have been talking about two common models such as AGI and ASI, which are, you know, they have the ability to think in advance. So they're like operating. So example for the same example, the agentic agents that are roaming the internet now, um, what was the foundation that was set on those? So right now, for this moment, I would say AI is only evil in the hands of who beholds it. So Yeah.
Amen. Wow. Elder, I want to tell you the clarity and the detail that you bring to such complex, because Elder, this topic is not only a complex topic, it's like it's a never-ending topic. It just can keep going, 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 because we know that there are different types of AI out there, and there are different types of AI that they're working on. I know that they have, and maybe you can elaborate on the omniscient, omnipresent AI that they're working on, or maybe you may use that for another time that you may choose to address. But we know that they're looking to use AI similar to the way the Lord technically created man. They're trying to get it to a point where man initially initiated, and after that it becomes self-learning and things along that line. So I don't know if you want to add anything there or expound on anything, or maybe next time that you come back, just to give us an update on the latest on AI. Maybe you can do it then. So it's up to you. Maybe you can respond
I
there.
I have a very detailed presentation on that actually, talking about um I don't want to say, well, I'm talking about the to come observations that I've made in terms of, practices that they have that they may want to implement, some papers that have been presented. So every practice, every model that comes out, there's always a paper that is referenced in advance. So, and I review a lot of papers on a weekly basis. So I have actually a presentation that I can present at a later date, just so I could properly introduce everything than just um, blurting it out right now. So at least
You,
I
you
give
know,
a proper introduction and it could be properly received in that sense. Yeah.
And Elder, I like the smile. It's like when you listen, when I'm listening and watching you, it's like you're saying, Brother Luke, this topic is so broad. I can go in any which direction.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Sister
Yeah.
K, please unmute. Brother Cook, I'm sending you something. Sister K, please unmute.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you very much, Brother Nash, for bringing this information across to us with the times that we're living in. And I noticed you said that the AI can be to a point where it's like demonized, but of a fact, what's his name again? That young man that is designing them said that they're going to be using them to summon in demons. So you actually said the right word, because he said that they are using now to summon them demons. So what else do you expect? They're having the feelings of human being, and human beings are also in that line. So yeah, they're trying to make them more smarter now, where they can be used to summon demons. So I'm just wondering what would be next, because they're going to be using the weapon that we use against each other as human being, and then human being or manufactured them can program them to bring on more demons. So right now it is scary what is going on today with God's people and with the people that we're living amongst. And I thank you very much for everything, and I hope everyone gets something from it, and that we both can really put our guardrail up, and may God continue to bless you, that you can present this to open our eyes, especially our young people, that they can be aware of what is out there. So thank you very much.
Yes.
Amen. Brother Cook, I thought you might have had something you wanted to add.
Oh yeah. So excellent presentation. Um, what I would like you to do maybe is to maybe drop a small PDF. You could probably give Brother Luke that with the basics of the AI, and maybe some of the programs that people could use going forward. That would be it's a short, probably 3 page something, whatever. It's just a basic
You're referring to the guardrails is what you're talking
Yes,
to, Brother Cole?
yes,
Okay. I
yes.
think he gave us a website to go to for the
Okay, I,
prompts,
I I didn't get to hear it. So
but I don't know if yeah, I think he gave
Oh,
us some.
I also have, so everything I talked about, I created a little PDF. It's like about 35 pages, so at least everyone could just go back over. So I would package it and I would share it, so at least
absolutely,
everyone
absolutely.
can review. So yeah.
I wanted to ask in terms of how close do you think we are how close do you think we really are to AGI? And what do you think would be some of the biggest bottlenecks before we get there? I was listening to you with in terms of the consciousness, people talking about, summoning demons and all sorts of things. So I wanted to ask you if AI can really ever achieve, true consciousness, or will it remain, advanced simulation mode as it is? And there's also something I wanted to ask you about as well. I think I wrote it down here. Um, yeah, what is the biggest existential or safety risk posed by AI over the next 5 to 10 years? What do you think those would be? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say in terms of closeness to AGI, ASI, the list can go on. Close, but they're scared to. They're scared to release it. If it is done, but I believe that it's not hard to do with the foundations that are actually set right now, especially how they're exposing that we could use. I mean, this was technology that was there, but they didn't want to talk about it being able to use the internet on its own and go forth. But because there is many other ones. I mean, there's one that no one talks about, which I've done a lot of open source work on, which is organoid intelligence, which
Yeah.
is taking human cells and it being able to do, because human cells can actually think way more better than computer because it's God handiwork. So, I mean, they are actually using human cells as it being able to complete tasks. Like, I know there's more tests, but one of the first tests about 2 years ago is that a human cell can actually play ping pong. You know the game?
Yep. Yep.
Actually do that for itself. And that was the first test that it actually did. And then now um, it gone quiet, but I know that a lot of developments would have been taken place. But I do believe that in the next 5 to 10 years, we will see the crossover of AI becoming physical, because AI needs to touch the five senses, which is the main objective for all of these organizations. They want to touch the five different senses. So, and I think once that is achieved, I think that will be the next five, if it's five, it could be less than five, because now AI is able to understand tones. And so, for example, if I'm talking here, AI is able to know my emotion. It's able to predict the tone that it should respond to. Because, yes, it's able to do it in text, but can it be able to do it in visual and tone and all these different things? So it's coming across slowly about um, the five different senses. So I do believe that if it achieves the five different senses, AGI and ASI is not that far, because it just needs to activate consciousness after that, ain't it? So it's it's close. It's close, but because of Um, I think they want to prepare public perception for that
Yes.
because it's a lot to drop on everyone right now. So I think they need to come across slowly, um, and especially um, the the Chinese market is they are very impressive in their technology. I've met with a couple of active researchers and developers there, and their technology is just mind blowing. So I'm not shocked to if AGI drops in the next 2 years because
Wow.
the way that they are silently ahead of the Western world, it's crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. So I do
But
believe that there are silent development happening, and it's a matter of publicly executing it in that sense. Yeah.
for okay, for instance, you heard people talking about summoning demons, right? And a lot of people who go to church would tell you that you have to be careful how you deal with these things because they're mediums. That's how they put them.
Yeah.
And I heard Elon Musk that the other day in an interview. I think it was probably BBC or CNN, one of them, but he was talking about um, maybe in 2 3 years, the AI will almost be like summoning a demon. And the person watched him with his eyes open who was interviewing him. So it was like kind of wondering what does he mean by
Yeah.
summoning a demon? So if you're talking about getting consciousness and how I mean how do you tell people who are in a relationship with Christ, who are going to church, who believe that they shouldn't be interfacing with certain things, that how do you tell them about using these things and how far they should go with them? I mean, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean that's the power of personalizing your
Yeah.
AI for your use. So that's why right now a lot of persons are trying to explore the aspect of having the AI for themselves, for their use, instead of using, these bigger party products because, the agendas may be as they want it to be. So I think again that's the preparation of the foundations that we set today um, for the future. So in terms of again when you use it on your own is what you intend to do with it. Because it's AI is a free roam um, product. You could do almost any possibility is available there. So it's about how you use it and what you use it for. I do believe that development in terms of AI being trained solely on, when it comes to like biblical content and, solely training on that. Because right now it has no AI that's solely trained 100% only on, biblical content and, keeping that clean atmosphere. It's all about fine tuning what is already out there, and then it already has these pre-existing trained information in its
Yeah.
mind.
Right.
So I do believe that that's a important development that has to be taken there because this will save us in the terms of any agenda that they would have in the future.
Correct.
That part is really important. So again, it is early to do that in the now factor before any possibility that these um, industries would have in the future. So I do
Right.
believe in self-hosting your own
Okay.
for your own use and keeping it centralized for yourself. which slowly I believe that, the internet will become divided on, because a lot of people are edging to the fact that, hey, I don't want to interact with, the direction of technology that the world is going in. I want to do it for my own and have it the way that I want it to be, in that sense.
Gotcha. I don't want to take up any more time, but quickly, because people been hearing the word consciousness. What does it mean in relation to the AI itself? What does consciousness really mean in terms of AI?
So the ability to pre-think in that sense. So right now, when you ask AI a question, it didn't think about that, hey, you're going to hop on ChatGPT and ask it a question. Or, so I remember this week I was recapping a paper about what does AI do when you don't ask it anything. And right now, all the AI is able to do on the leading um, models that are out there, ChatGPT, Claude, Opus, all these different models that are out there. When you check its background, it's doing like pre-training itself. So it's like doing trying to expand its knowledge in terms of doing testings and stuff like that. So it's pretty basic, but what happens when AI is able to think like you and me in real time? What judgments does it make in that sense? So, like, for example, one that was very shocking to me, which is this model called Gwen, which is a Chinese model, which is actually researches religious content. I don't know what it does with religious content, but it researches the religious content in its spare time. And other models is more focused on math, um, coding projects, coding tasks, so that when the user asks, because most of these models are being used for these things on a heavy basis. So when AI gains that consciousness of, oh, I am here, that is what they will call AGI, ASI. So yeah,
Got you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, man.
yes.
Okay, please unmute.
Okay, yes. Back with another thing. I'm not sure if Brother Nash, if you have observed vehicles that are out there that you can basically use like a Uber that doesn't have a driver. Are you
Yeah.
aware of those vehicles
Yes.
out there today?
Yes.
So those are programmed by AI, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I think before this thing all come about, I think I got a dream about something like this, and to finally see a vehicle like that, I don't know if I could trust a vehicle like that. It would take me on the road, much just to think about a plane would having one. So this is just scary because now you're talking about the emotion on whatever it has and no religion. God forbid I cannot put my life into these things to trust them to take me from point A to point B, right? Even
Yeah.
when they want to take it to point Z. So
Yeah.
I just said let me talk about because I see, and it was Elon Musk who had said that thing about they're going to be using them within 2003 to, I mean, 2 year to 3 year to summon the demons. And yes, it was frightening to hear it from his mouth. But when I look at him, all I can see is the form of AI in him. So to me, he's just a form of AI that has been programmed to do this evil work.
Yes.
Thanks.
Just to tie in with the self-driving cars. So with that, it, I mean, it's a topic where it's a continuous topic. I remember when they were exploring the trolley problem with autonomous car, which is the the problem of if autonomous car is driving and it has an obstruction or a person in the way, and it has to decide, and it's in a tunnel, and it has someone in the way. does the car and does the car hit the person or crash into the walls of the tunnel? What decision would it make there? Because remember, as a human, you would make that decision in real time, and what would the car do? And in that scenario, the car chose to um, yeah, hit the person in front because they're again objective oriented, have to protect the user, who the passenger, and getting from point A to point B. I mean, it's it's a long discussion. Some of them have um, actually humans behind it. Some have no humans behind it. Um, it's a long topic in terms of which company, what practices are they doing? Because I could go on and on in different companies that are, and their different practices. Um, but it's um, it's a very interesting topic in terms of the future of driving. It's kind of scary, but yeah.
Caller, please unmute.
Yes, hi. I came on a little bit late, but I wanted to know if you know about the new AI model that came out. I believe the name is Jarvis. And also, you said something about, you know, AI is being created for our usage and our purpose, but basically it's a agentic. So means that it's going to need a tool, and we're becoming that tool. I think it's becoming familiarize with whoever is using it, and afterwards it will be able to think for that person without that person lifting a finger. And we see all the movies how they portray iRobot, Minority Report, and all these things that tells us what's going to happen with the future with these AI. So we my judgment by the Holy Spirit is to be careful and to stay away. Thank you.
Yes. Um, yeah, I've heard about Jarvis. Um, I think so there is, I mean, the technology behind Jarvis is it's this assistant that is always there in the sense, but there are ways that you can build your own, and you can host your own and protect your own as such. Um, so it's a tricky topic. It's like who that information goes to, who is observing that information, what plans do they have for that information. So again, it kind of ties back to, the point I was making about, everyone trying to go their own and self-hosting their own information for, um, protection wise and, for future plans wise, all these different aspects kind of rise there. But yeah.
Dr. Nash, did you have any questions for Elder Nash or any statements, Dr. Nash?
Not really. Just that for those who might be interested, almost every week, Leandro would put out some reviews on different papers or different technologies that comes out. It can get very technical, but if you're prepared for that, what platforms are you on?
Um, only had two right now, which is YouTube and TikTok. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
So it's YouTube and TikTok at Le'Andre Nash. Just Le'Andre Nash. All the words together. Le'Andre Nash, yes.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
sounds good. Is there any last statements that you'd like to leave us with?
Um, I think it would just be the last point where I was making is that for now, AI is only evil in the hands of the person actually executing it. So I think that for right now, I think that everyone can, the way that you use it, the way that you protect yourself, the way that you do your observation of the different platforms that you use in terms of if you are cautious about your data being used or your any of these platforms have their different terms and conditions. Always do your homework in terms of checking it out, as well as the aspect of using AI for good. The do's and the don'ts is real. And as AI increase, I would always say educate yourself on the different new practices of AI coming out. Don't be shy. There are, I mean, I talk about new AIs that come out on my different platforms, but it's okay to observe, take notes, and, you know, be in, make that judgment on which platforms that you use, which platforms you don't use as time progresses. But I have a topic, I have a presentation on uh, proper, properly explaining AGI and different papers of interest in that topic of new technologies that are supposed to come. Um, and I'll get back to you guys and we present it here.
Yeah, Brother Mike, did you have a question there? I saw you dropped your hand, but I saw you had your hand up for a while. Brother Mike?
Yes, thank you very much. There's one thing I was wondering about. Could AI provide an output which is beyond the inputs of the creator?
Um, yeah, well, yes, it can because of the what guardrails you put on your input. So if you give AI that free roam opportunity in terms of like no guardrails, it can give you a lot of different responses and a greater output um, from what you are asking. But in terms of value, yes, it can have this good value, but then sometimes it can create its own understanding of what you are asking.
Elder
Okay, thank
George?
you.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Brother Mike.
I just said thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Elder George, go right ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. Just a quick question. I can't remember if it was you, Leandre, that asked that mentioned it, but someone mentioned something about the AI taking over. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, with the vaccine, oh yes, they were talking about being automated and how people like the AI can um, think for that person in a sense, or interact with them without them even giving prompts, or whatever. Would that be, I suppose, with the vaccine and the nanotechnology that was put into it? Do you reckon that's probably how it will communicate with that human entity through the nanotechnology that's put into the human system through the vaccine?
Um, I believe it's possible. It can have that possibility because I mean, as I was talking about earlier, they have explored the opportunity of organoid intelligence. So it's basically connecting computers to cells in that sense. So I don't
Just a bit
I
quiet.
don't fear I don't fear that it is possible in the sense of that connection there because it there is research, there is the possibility, the that is a very in-depth topic that I could do a presentation on organoid intelligence, but the possibility is there. You can connect a computer to human cells. I'm not sure about the technology that they have put in the vaccine to make that possible, but it's not impossible as a
Mm. Yeah, I was just thinking, with all this, it's it's just
I mean, I personally, I don't, I stay away from AI, using AI. It's come up on the phone and everything that, all computers that you use, and I personally stay away from it. I try and do what I can for myself. Um, you know, um, but with this technology, I mean, if they're trying to incorporate machine into human cells, this is what you know, another form of amalgamation. And it's not really a good thing in respect of, we know that just before the flood that was amalgamation also. So this is just another form of it, man and machine trying to be one, or those of the higher echelons are trying to get the lower people to be amalgamated to machines. And I know that's where they're hoping to go. And I, to me personally, when I see this, I can see that it's all part of the control system to get people to understand, to get people to obey the mark of the beast system, knowing where they are, tracking where they are. I know they're doing that with your mobile phones and facial recognition and all that stuff, but also with this 6G that they're talking about now coming out, which is going to be built into into the person. These are
Yeah.
just other ways of tracking and controlling people, and um, making sure that their so-called system is robust and unable to escape from it in a sense. So that's how I see with this talk about, obviously the AI being able to interact with the human body and so forth and things like that.
Yes, that's definitely the technology is there. I just find they don't announce it as AI is being announced. And I don't know what the agendas they have, why they're not announcing it the way that they announce AI, but it's actually there. And
Yeah, I find that a lot of, obviously they don't tell you outright what they're planning to do. A lot of the
yeah,
times they just push the good side of it. Oh, you could use it for this, you could use it for that. But then
yeah,
obviously within doing that, people are drawn in by the good or the so-called benefits, and then when they realize it's too late, they got all the negatives to come with it also. Like one of the sisters was talking about when the chat GTP was getting, well, I don't know if it's chat GTP, but one of the AI bots was getting vexed that she wanted to leave, or tried to use another platform or something like that.
yeah,
So I can just see that we just need to be really careful how we're using these things. I know at the present
yeah,
time they are good that we can use it for, but if we're using it, we need to be using it with caution and
definitely.
being wise as serpents and harmless like doves in that respect.
Yes,
Brother
definitely.
Nash, I just want to say I give God praise that we have a Seventh-day Adventist, rooted, grounded brother that is able to come and teach us on this such difficult, such broad, such confusing, topic. And I just want to say, I really appreciate what your studies, Elder Nash. I appreciate your studies. I appreciate what you and your mom and your family have done, because I can tell you there's so much confusion out there on this specific topic. And just to be able to just sit back and listen to you today, you definitely encourage us to make sure that guardrails are in place. You're definitely able to let us know, hey, listen, it's man that that created this item or manufactured this item, and they are ultimately behind it to some degree or the other. And we just got to make sure that we produce our own guardrails. And then the other part that I liked that I never ever thought about is where you said that you could actually create our own AI that we can work with where we don't have to use these huge commercial AIs that are prone to be problematic in the long run. So that is also great information to actually know also too. I just want to say thank you. Brother Nash, I don't know how to thank you enough, but I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you ever have any information that you feel God has impressed you to teach, just come. Elder, listen, whatever we're doing, we'll suspend it and you overrule and come and teach us anytime God impress upon your heart. I just want at least you give me a few hours that I can advertise it, that our people can come in and sit and learn what God has placed upon your heart. I don't know how much to say thank you. Elder George, I don't know if you have anything else that you want
No,
to add, Brother Pope.
that's
Anybody?
all good. Thanks.
Yes, Sister
It's
Rivas.
good information for us
Yeah.
to take in and stuff, and and as I said, in everything we do, in anything we do in life, we have to be cautious and stuff. And if we have red flags and concerns, we need to really stop and pray and seek guidance and stuff like that. So yes, thank you for that information, brother.
Yes, for
Amen.
sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just want to flag something. And, recently we've been seeing a lot of these LNG White postings, videos with citations about different topics, regarding end time and how to prepare and what did Ellen White say about X, Y, and Z. And somehow I think that we should vet the information that's coming to us just because of the space in which we are. And I am not sure who is behind it, the creator, the developer behind this, and whether we can vouch that it is indeed in keeping with truth, with the true writings, because over time we have had a lot of like great controversy rewritten with pieces sort of extracted from it. And a lot of people are listening to these videotapes, and I'm so cautious about it. The other day, I don't normally listen, but someone sent it to me, and I said, okay, let me listen to it while I was cleaning house. And in it, it talked about the importance about gathering together, supporting each other in these end times in which we live. And then the narrator went on to talk about, so we can meet over coffee. And I was like, what? Sister White, she doesn't promote the use of coffee. And in the way in which was said, like how we're just casually, oh, let's meet for a cup of tea, let's meet over coffee and discuss these end time things. And I switch it off. And just because we need to guard what we expose ourselves to. So I thought if something as simple as that was off, then what more could be wrong? And so I just want to throw it out there to be cautious, to double check and sort of look at what's being projected, and that it may not all be truth, because we're told to watch into these end time where deception is going to come, and it's going to be error mixed in with truth. It's like you have a healthy bread, but there's some poison, toxic substance in there. So we need to sort of watch that space too.
Okay. Elder Nash, any final statement or anything like that?
I will package the document to share with everyone. So I will just close up all loose ends on the document because I just had a quick put together. So at least everyone can recap all of the information we would have talked about today. And also I'll leave some quick references that persons can read different articles just to clarify different topics for themselves as well too. So yeah.
Yeah, Elder, again, thank you, thank you, thank you. And since I personally suggest that everyone subscribe to the YouTube channel, if you're on TikTok, Let's search out Elder Nash. Let's subscribe to him because he's in the field. And before he can even say it to us, come and do a presentation for us, he may do a quick post on TikTok. He may do a quick YouTube program. And if you're there, we can get good, safe, clean update. Saints, in this important era, in this important area, it is good to have someone that is safe, that you can go to and ask a safe question without worrying about getting bad information. Elder, can't thank you enough. Elder Cook, any final statement you have for Elder Nash?
No, man, no, just excellent presentation. I think he brought it over clearly. So I think we have a good understanding now. And I think the most important thing which he said was to have those guardrails in place so that, you won't slip over the edge, as some people would say.
Amen. Sister Rivers, correction, Dr. Rivers. Dr. Rivers, do you have any questions or statement that you want to add?
No, I just want to thank him and everybody who put this together for their time. It was an excellent presentation. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Amen. Brother Kurt, any questions for Elder Nash?
Yes, Doc. Just want to say that was indeed a powerful presentation, and that endorse what you said, Doc. That with a topic so fast and so growing, and a lot of misunderstanding, we have gotten some deeper understanding in how to approach it. Some of the safety precautions, that we will all end up on the right side. So thank you so much, and we look forward for some more guidance on the topic as it develops. So thank you so much. God bless.
And since Dr. Nash, you're gonna have the recording in your YouTube channel?
Yes, we can arrange for that.
So since subscribe to Dr. Nash's YouTube channel, it will be there. It's gonna be in our student portal. And Doc, once you put it in your YouTube channel, I'll share it in all the different platforms, or you can share it any which way that folks that they can have access to it long term in terms of just the Facebook, where normally Facebook is gone within 30 days. So Saints, just give us a minute. As soon as Doc puts it in her YouTube, we'll share it on all the platforms. For our Level 3 class, it will be in our student portal. Just want to say thanks again, Elder. And Elder, the platform is always open to you. Just thanks again.
Yes, no problem. Thank you for having me. And I'll see you guys for the next topic on AGI.